In this video, we analyze a brilliant chess game move by move. Watch closely. One small mistake can decide everything. Let's begin. Abdusattorov pushes the d-pawn boldly into the center, staking early territory and announcing aggressive intentions without wasting a heartbeat. Wesley answers with a matching d-pawn thrust, calmly mirroring the challenge and building a solid central fortress immediately. Abdusattorov fires the c-pawn forward, pressuring Wesley's center and opening dangerous lines for future tactical chaos ahead. Wesley locks into a classical structure with e6, reinforcing the center while quietly preparing dark-squared counterplay behind the wall. Abdusattorov develops the knight toward the center, increasing pressure and sharpening control over critical central battleground squares immediately. Wesley calmly develops his knight toward f6, reinforcing the center while eyeing aggressive jumps into dangerous attacking territory. Abdusattorov sends the bishop aggressively to g5, pinning Wesley's knight and creating annoying tactical pressure against the queen. Wesley breaks the pin instantly with b7, refusing long-term discomfort and preparing smooth kingside castling without hesitation today. Abdusattorov strengthens the center with e3, quietly opening lines for his bishop while maintaining stable positional control everywhere. Wesley castles kingside swiftly, tucking the king safely behind pawns while connecting the rook for upcoming central operations. Abdusattorov develops the knight toward f3, increasing kingside stability and adding more pressure against central dark squares immediately. Wesley's knight leaps aggressively into fr, planting itself deep inside enemy territory and provoking immediate strategic complications everywhere. Abdusattorov exchanges bishops decisively, removing Wesley's active dark-squared defender and slightly reducing future kingside attacking pressure today. Wesley recaptures with the queen smoothly, centralizing the powerful monarch piece, while maintaining excellent board coordination over all directions. Abdusattorov activates the rook toward Kone, lining heavy artillery against the semi-open file and preparing dynamic pressure immediately. Wesley's knight slices into c3, eliminating a defender and forcing structural decisions while disrupting Abdusattorov's coordination brutally today. Abdusattorov recaptures confidently with the rook, maintaining active piece placement and keeping pressure alive along central and queenside lanes. Wesley supports the center with shicks, creating a durable pawn chain while restricting future knight invasions from white. Abdusattorov calmly develops the bishop to e2, preparing kingside safety and improving coordination before the middle game storm begins. Wesley develops the knight toward z7, strengthening central control and preparing flexible redeployment toward active attacking squares. Abdusattorov castles kingside smoothly, finally securing his king before tactical fireworks begin exploding across the board violently. Wesley captures on c4 aggressively, temporarily grabbing material and forcing Abdusattorov's rook into immediate activity and tactical decisions. Abdusattorov recaptures the pawn energetically, restoring balance while placing the rook actively on dangerous central attacking lines immediately. Wesley strikes the center with e5, launching counterplay and challenging white's space advantage with direct energetic confrontation today. Abdusattorov slides the queen toward c2, reinforcing central influence and keeping tactical pressure balanced across multiple critical files. Wesley captures on d4 decisively, cracking open the center and inviting tactical complications where calculation becomes absolutely everything now. Abdusattorov's knight recaptures dynamically, centralizing with tempo and maintaining active control over key attacking and defensive squares simultaneously. Wesley reroutes the knight toward b6, eyeing important central squares while preparing queenside pressure and tactical jumps later. Abdusattorov lifts the rook aggressively to c5, creating active pressure and hinting at dangerous future kingside infiltration plans. Wesley calmly places the knight on dr5, centralizing powerfully and contesting white's growing activity with precise coordination immediately. Abdusattorov develops the bishop to f3, reinforcing central control and adding dangerous support toward kingside attacking ideas soon. Wesley's knight jumps into b4 aggressively, attacking critical squares and creating annoying threats against white's vulnerable queen position immediately. Abdusattorov calmly repositions the queen to c4, maintaining pressure while carefully avoiding tactical disasters and hidden traps nearby. Wesley plants the knight deep on d3, invading enemy territory and creating monstrous tactical pressure against white's fragile coordination. Abdusattorov swings the rook toward 8a5 dramatically, aiming directly at Wesley's king and hinting at dangerous attacking possibilities. Wesley calmly retreats the knight toward f5, improving coordination while defending critical kingside squares against incoming attacking pressure. Abdusattorov repositions the queen to c2, carefully maintaining flexibility while continuing pressure along important central and kingside lanes. Wesley advances the g-pawn aggressively, chasing white's rook and creating breathing space around the kingside defensive structure immediately. Abdusattorov sacrifices the rook on e5 explosively, detonating the center and forcing Wesley into critical tactical decisions instantly today. Wesley accepts the rook sacrifice confidently, grabbing material while trusting calculation and defensive precision under immense tactical tension now. Abdusattorov pushes the b-pawn aggressively, seeking queenside counterplay and trying to generate dangerous long-term attacking chances immediately. Wesley develops the bishop toward f5, activating smoothly while reinforcing central control and neutralizing white's remaining initiative efficiently. Abdusattorov centralizes the queen to c3, keeping active pressure alive and searching desperately for tactical resources across the board. Wesley activates the rook toward 8, bringing heavy firepower into the center and preparing devastating tactical possibilities ahead. Abdusattorov advances the a-pawn confidently, expanding queenside space while attempting to create practical counterplay against Wesley's coordination immediately. Wesley repositions the bishop to e4, planting the piece aggressively while restricting white's movement and strengthening central dominance. Abdusattorov retreats the bishop carefully to e2, preserving material and trying to stabilize the increasingly uncomfortable defensive position. Wesley storms forward with a5, launching queenside expansion and preparing dangerous pawn pressure against white's vulnerable flank structure. Abdusattorov pushes the b-pawn boldly, challenging Wesley's queenside ambitions and opening fresh lines for possible tactical counterplay today. Wesley advances the c-pawn aggressively, increasing central tension and preparing powerful pawn breakthroughs against white's exposed structure immediately. Abdusattorov activates the rook toward done, contesting the open file and trying desperately to maintain defensive coordination everywhere. Wesley's pawn captures on d4 forcefully, blowing open critical central lines and intensifying tactical complications across the entire battlefield. Abdusattorov recaptures with the queen confidently, restoring balance while attempting to keep active piece play alive under pressure. Wesley centralizes the rook toward date, doubling pressure and targeting white's vulnerable back rank with ruthless precision today. Abdusattorov captures Wesley's queen boldly, simplifying the position and hoping the reduced material eases defensive suffering immediately now. Wesley crashes the rook into done with check, unleashing tactical thunder and forcing immediate defensive reactions from white instantly. Abdusattorov recaptures with the bishop carefully, eliminating the invading rook while trying desperately to survive the dangerous endgame. Wesley's remaining rook captures on e5, brutally, grabbing material and emerging from complications with a dominating practical position now. Abdusattorov pushes the f-pawn cautiously, creating breathing room for the king while trying to rebuild defensive coordination immediately. Wesley activates the rook towards c5, invading aggressively and hunting weak pawns with relentless endgame precision and confidence today. Abdusattorov centralizes the king toward f2, stepping into the endgame battlefield where every tempo suddenly becomes incredibly precious. Wesley plants the bishop on c2 powerfully, targeting critical weaknesses and preparing devastating tactical blows against white's remaining defenses. Abdusattorov marches the king toward e2, seeking activity while nervously navigating through Wesley's dangerous network of tactical threats. Wesley's bishop captures on done with check, eliminating defenders and forcing white's king into an increasingly uncomfortable exposed position. Abdusattorov recaptures with the king reluctantly, restoring material balance while stepping deeper into Wesley's dangerous tactical territory immediately. Wesley slides the rook to c4 aggressively, invading the fourth rank and targeting vulnerable pawns with clinical endgame technique. Abdusattorov moves the king toward d2, trying desperately to coordinate defenses against Wesley's growing queenside pressure and activity. Wesley's rook captures on e4 cleanly, gobbling another pawn and extending the material advantage with ruthless efficiency today. Abdusattorov advances the e-pawn bravely, seeking counterplay and hoping active pawn threats can disturb Wesley's technical conversion process. Wesley repositions the rook toward b4, attacking fresh weaknesses, while supporting the dangerous queenside, passed pawn perfectly now. Abdusattorov centralizes the king toward c3, attempting active defense, and hoping proximity can slow Wesley's advancing queenside machinery. Wesley's rook captures on b5 mercilessly, removing another pawn and tightening the noose around white's collapsing position immediately. Abdusattorov pushes the h-pawn forward, creating a tiny distraction while searching desperately for any remaining practical chances today. Wesley launches the passed pawn aggressively, beginning a terrifying sprint toward promotion with unstoppable momentum and confidence everywhere. Abdusattorov moves the king towards c4 quickly, racing desperately to intercept the dangerous passed pawn before disaster strikes. Wesley places the rook on bone actively, supporting promotion threats while cutting white's king from critical defensive routes completely. Abdusattorov shifts the king towards c3, carefully, still chasing defensive hopes against Wesley's rapidly advancing queenside monster pawn. Wesley pushes the passed pawn to a3 relentlessly, bringing promotion one terrifying step closer and increasing tactical pressure enormously. Abdusattorov repositions the king towards c4 nervously, desperately trying to stay near the promotion square before catastrophe erupts. Wesley advances the pawn to a2 confidently, placing white on the edge of total collapse with unstoppable promotion threats. Abdusattorov rushes the king towards c5 urgently, making one final attempt to disrupt Wesley's deadly queenside conversion technique. Wesley promotes the pawn into a queen magnificently, unleashing overwhelming firepower and transforming the position into total domination instantly. Abdusattorov steps the king towards x desperately, searching for perpetual chances while staring directly into overwhelming enemy forces today. Wesley's new queen checks from d4 viciously, coordinating perfectly with the rook and driving white's king into dangerous territory. Abdusattorov runs the king towards 7 anxiously, desperately fleeing the incoming mating net tightening around every escape square. Wesley's rook checks from Cone brilliantly, cutting escape routes and forcing white's king deeper into the mating web immediately. Abdusattorov hides the king on bait nervously, but the defensive position already feels completely suffocated and hopeless now. Wesley pushes the b-pawn forward calmly, removing escape squares and sharpening the final mating construction with surgical precision. Abdusattorov moves the king toward b7 helplessly, trapped inside Wesley's tightening net with almost no defensive resources remaining. Wesley's queen slides to d6 coldly, coordinating deadly threats while preparing the final execution sequence against white's king. Abdusattorov retreats the king toward a7 desperately, but every square now feels poisoned by Wesley's overwhelming piece activity. Wesley's rook crashes into 7 with check, sealing escape routes and pushing white directly toward unavoidable destruction tonight. Abdusattorov crawls back to bait hopelessly, completely trapped as Wesley's coordinated pieces prepare the final crushing blow immediately. Wesley delivers Kudai checkmate mercilessly, ending the battle in total domination as Abdusattorov's king finally collapses without escape. The video ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Please don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to support me. Thank you again, everyone. See you in the next video.